Rev up your engines! Now, people accuse me of being a Toyota fanboy. I just tell them as I see them. Today we're going to talk about a Nissan Frontier pickup truck. Often the forgotten pickup truck. They can be very good trucks to buy used. Now, the Frontier started out as the replacement for the old Nissan hard body that had little 4 cylinders. They could run forever just like the little bitty Toyota pickup trucks, right? When they started making the Frontiers, they added one big thing. And here it is under the hood. Nissan V6 engine. You can carry, you can tow. They're very good engines. The new ones put over 300 horsepower. They are screaming motors. They're very reliable. Instead of the hard body, which is a little truck, they could last a long time just like a Toyota Tacoma, but they're kind of underpowered. These are not underpowered. Now, this is an older one, and unfortunately, it's still got a rubber timing belt in it. Modern ones have timing chains in them. Well, he just had this replaced, mainly because of the age, and it's got almost 100,000 miles. It's 96,000 miles. If that rubber belt breaks, pistons hit the valves, goodbye engine. So he had that changed out, so he's not going to have to worry about it. It's only a problem if you don't take care of it. It gets old and rotten and cracks and breaks, and there goes your engine. So if you're looking at one of these, if it's got a timing chain, you don't have to think about it. But it's got a belt. Good idea to change it if it's got 100,000 miles, or if it's 8-10 years old. That's a good thing to do. Over the course of time, the back of the frame rotted. You can see here where they've done welding. You did have to have this replaced because it did rot away. Toyota had the same problem with the Tacomas and some of the Tundras. So if you're looking at one of these used, definitely check the frame. Now there's a lot of superficial rust here, but it's still solid. I'd sand all that down and recoat it myself just to make it last longer. Make excellent work trucks because they got full-size beds. Yeah, the plastic fades away. Plastic liner's still good on it. They're great for hauling stuff. He's never towed with it. But if you want to tow, this baby can tow 6,300 with their automatic transmission, 6,500 if you have a manual. And he was smart, he bought it used. Here's the thing. People always say, Scotty, I want to get a Toyota Tacoma or a Toyota Tundra, but the prices are so insanely high. People are now paying more for used Tacomas than a new one goes for in many cases. You got a good price on this years ago, and it's been a good truck. You're going to find a much better price on a Frontier than you are on a Tacoma or a Tundra. For sure. That's just how it goes. The Toyotas, people like them, prices go up, they just start charging more and more and more. But these are solid trucks. It's not like they're problematical trucks. This is a 4x4 off-road. Ironically enough, the guy's never taken it off-road, but he uses it in Connecticut in the winter. He says it's a beast. He can get through all kinds of snow with it. And unlike the front-wheel drive Jatco transmissions, his grandmother had a Sentra in 2001. Tranny went out at like 70,000 miles. This is a rear-wheel drive transmission. And for my 53 years experience of working on cars, rarely do I see one of these Nissan rear-wheel drive transmissions break down. They make them better. They're kind of like old American cars. Americans made great transmissions for rear-wheel drive, but when they started to make front-wheel drives, they all fell apart. Didn't matter if it was Ford, GM, Chrysler, they were never any good at making front-wheel drive transmissions. Let's start it up and listen to it. Starts right up, it sounds pretty good. You just hear the valves and the cams rolling a little. Any engine is going to make a little bit of noise. It's not going to be perfect, but this one is in decent shape. Well, all the cars with these plastic headlamps are going to fog. You can polish those up if you want or buy aftermarket ones cheaply enough. But the four-wheel drive still works perfectly fine. He's had no problems with that. Get the old scan tool out. Let's check this baby out. And here we go. It's going through everything. System diagnosis, 16 pin. It's 1% done. This might going to take a while. Well, while we're waiting for it to load, because it is older, he did have to replace the catalytic converter. Not because it tripped the catalytic converter code, because it rusted out. Nissan has a history of making crappy catalytic converters. All my cars with Nissans over the course of time, and Infiniti, same company, you got to buy catalytic converters because they just put cheap ones on. It's just the company went a little bit too cheap. Renault took over Nissan in 2000. The quality started to go down, and this is a 2003. It was after that, and he had to replace the catalytic converter because it just rotted away. It was so cheaply made. So watch out for stuff like that. And so far, you got a bunch of greens. Now, maybe an old vehicle, but everything was green except for the ABS system. Who really cares about that? But we'll see what it is. It says the front left-hand sensor has a problem. Yeah, the problem is it's 19 years old. When they get to be this old, and especially with rust, but it shows how well made this particular truck was. That was the only problem. We'll look at Live data. It's hiding here somewhere. There it is. And here we go. We'll start looking to see if anything's weird. That's all green. And everything else is good too. Blue is the same as green. It means good. If it gets red, it's got a problem. They're all perfectly clean. We can feel a slight roll in the idle. And as you can see, the oxygen sensor on bank 1 and bank 2, they're slightly off. They're off by a tiny bit. It's not going to trip a code because it's got to be off 20% or more. And it's only off 0.21 of 1%, so that's not bad, but it shows that one side versus the other isn't exactly perfect. And from my experience with these, often the intake manifold will have a tiny leak on one side, not in the other, or one fuel injector's running a little bit off from the others. You could try putting a little fuel injector cleaner in it, but it runs perfectly fine. Most people aren't going to care about that. If it had been 5%, 10%, then you start thinking, but that's such a low percent, it really doesn't matter. Now as we close the door, got a nice solid sound, but got manual door locks. And for those of you who are young and don't understand, it has hand crank windows. Look at that. It's just nice and high up in the air. Got that powerful V6 engine in it. It's still a very reliable truck. So we'll try the old engine out. It's got plenty of horsepower in it. No problem with that. As you can see, it still shifts really smooth. It still runs great. And yeah, it did have frame problems. So if you're looking at one of these used, look at the frame. Get under there. Check the frame out. Get a hammer. If it goes conk, conk, great. If it goes crunch, crunch, don't buy it. You don't want to mess with one with a rotten frame. But from my experience of these things, it's mainly up north where they rot. Because I never saw one in Texas or New Mexico or California that had a rotten frame on it. It's the salt on the road that they use in the winter here. And anything that's a little bit weak, it accentuates the rust and makes them rot out faster. So if you're disgusted by the high price of used Toyota pickup trucks, maybe try to get a Nissan Frontier used pickup truck. They can still be pretty good trucks and you can get them a whole bunch cheaper. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Inferno 925 says, I need a replacement remote, but locksmiths won't guarantee they can do it. I got an 04 Toyota Solera. Toyota wants $400 for the remotes and to reprogram them. I called around for locksmiths, and they said they couldn't guarantee their work and I'd have to pay up front. I live in a big area, and no one seems to do the work and guarantee it. Any ideas? Yeah, you know, your locksmiths are being scumbags, and they're obviously not very good. Any honest locksmith would say, yeah, I know how to do it, and they know how to do it. If they don't, and the guys working for them are clowns, and maybe they just hired them and they're kids, they don't know what they're doing, right? Try to find a locksmith that can. It's not rocket science. You just need a computer that does it. And if they don't think they can do it, hey, they shouldn't be doing it and say, well, you got to pay me whether it works or not. What a bunch of nonsense. That's what our society's come to. People don't even stand behind their own work anymore. And when I was in Houston, there were tons of guys. Call around mobile locksmiths. You'll find a lot of these mobile locksmiths, they're good. And they'll say, yeah, here's what the service call, here's what we charge to make your keys. I knew a guy who was from Pakistan in Houston, and he had a mobile thing with his wife, and he was very honest. He'd come to your house, and he charged like $110, $120 to do one of those. Come to your house and do one. Now, if you're in Houston, call him up. But if not, ask your friends. Somebody around must know an honest locksmith. But you did say you're in a big city. And in big cities, people are often crooks. That's how the world goes. They all got to make a lot of money. You pay us whether it works or not. Blah, blah. That's why a lot of people should leave the big city and go somewhere else where people are more honest and stand behind what they're doing. It isn't that hard to do if you have the correct equipment and the knowledge to do it. Keep calling around. Stay away from the people that say, pay up front, we don't guarantee it, because they're basically saying we're scumbags. Any honest guy's going to say, no, you pay me when I'm done. I did that, for 43 years in Houston when I was doing my own mechanic shop there. People would say, do we pay you if I had? No, you don't pay me anything until I'm done. It's like these contractors, give us 50% now, and then they don't even finish the job and you pay them 50%. No, it's not honest. And those guys aren't honest. Try to find an honest locksmith. The dealer will do it, but they're all charged too much money. That's just the way that it goes. You're driving it, right? So you already got a good one. It's no big deal if you got a good one to reprogram it. Find a good locksmith and tell them, look, the car runs fine. I'll bring it to you. Then never have to make a road call. You'll find there are guys that can do it. RE88 says, what happened to your cat? Where's your black and white cat? Which is in some of your videos when you're in Houston. Well, her name is Lucy, and she lives in Tennessee now. So she lives in Tennessee and she runs around there. She watches the pigs run around. The dogs bark at her and she laughs because she's on the other side of the fence. So, oh no, she's happy there. She's got her own little yard. She can run around in. Hisses at the neighbor's cats. Cats don't like cats generally. Got her own house. And then when we're visiting Rhode Island, she got the entire house to herself. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.